All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing Xenocide by Orson Scott Card. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. I'm sure everybody in the comments will let me know that I am pronouncing it wrong, but it's Xenocide by Orson Scott Card. Came out in 1991. This is the third book that he wrote in the Ender's Game series. I think there's about 10 books in that series at this point. This is the third one he wrote, although chronologically, if you were going to read them in chronological order, I think it might be number 9 in the series. I could be wrong about that too. Let's talk about the covers first, because you know I love graphic design and cover illustration. I like this. I mean, I like the way that they did instead of going this way with the title, they went this way with the title. Sometimes that's all it takes to amuse me. A cover art by John Harris, who is one of our... John Harris does a lot of artwork for science fiction and fantasy books. Great job, though. The only difference between the hardcover and the paperback is the color of the Zenocide. And I do have every one of these books in the Ender's Game series in hardcover and paperback. Just an FYI. Zenocide, what is it? Well, genocide, according to the internet, in the dictionary that I found on the internet, genocide is the extermination or elimination of an entire race of people. Xenocide, though, is the extermination or elimination of an entire alien species. So there we go. Those are the differences. According to the internet, we're going to stick with that theory throughout the book here. This book, one of the things that I like about the Ender's Game series is the first 4 books in the series, which are Ender's Game, Speaker for the Dead, Children of the Mind, and then Zenocide. The first 4 books in the series are wildly different from each other. I mean, Ender's Game had a certain coming of age, sort of a young boy fights off the bullies, very space opera-esque type of battle school experience novel. Really kind of for young adults. That was the theme of that one. And then Speaker for the Dead came along, and it was wildly different in theme. I mean, you would have thought that Orson Scott Card found a smashingly successful formula with Ender's Game and would just follow it up with the same repeating thing. But he didn't, and Speaker for the Dead was wildly different. And if you've read them both, you know what I'm talking about. And then Zenocide is wildly different from even those two. And then the 4th novel, Children of the Mind, even more so. But then in the Ender's Shadow series, he kind of goes back to the old coming of age sort of theme. Then he runs with that. But anyway, I'm impressed that the guy wrote in this universe such vastly differing science fiction stories, talking about a lot of wildly different things. And we're going to talk about some of those things. This book starts out with a man and his dying wife, and they're contemplating her death, which leads us into, death is a theme in this. This is the theme is the title says it. We open up with just that poignant scene of just one person's death, which kind of is a microcosm of what's going to be discussed later. So Valentine, Ender, of course, is the star of these books. In the first book, he was a young boy sent to battle school, and then, now he's graduated to book 3 here or whatever. And things have happened. Valentine is his sister. She is also known online on the internet forums and Reddit threads as Demosthenes. She's also known as that. She's a commentator, a political commentator, talking about, a lot of things politically online. She's very well known. Her brother, Ender's brother, Peter, is also an online kind of commentator and political figure named Locke. And there's some family tensions, let's just say. But we open up the book after the prologue of the dying woman and her husband, we get to meet Valentine first, this Ender sister, and she is on a starship traveling at light speed to a planet called Lusitania, where she's going to be involved in some stuff. And this is, it was Orson Scott Card that first, when I was a kid, when I read Ender's Game, and I didn't know a lot about much in the world, but light speed travel, the only experience I had with that was Star Wars, where it's instantaneous and things like that. And but Ender's Game was one that, and The Speaker for the Dead in this book were the books that really kind of opened my eyes to the realities of light speed travel, the scientific reality of it, where the time-space continuum type of thing, where if you are on a starship traveling at light speed, you might be on a half an hour long trip, but time is different for you traveling at light speed than it is for people left on Earth. And if you return to Earth, everybody might have aged like 75 years or something like that. It blew my mind. I was like, I didn't know that. I was a little kid, but now it's, when you're a little kid, you learn things one step at a time. And a lot of times you learn them, it's through books like these. And I specifically remember that. But anyway, she's traveling to this planet Lusitania, and there's a lot of conversations on this starship. In fact, this book is just one big talk novel. It's not a lot of action or adventure. It's more of lots of discussions on God, free will, government, extinction. I mean, we're talking about extinction, science fiction, prayer, the nature of God. One of the things that there was about a couple pages where one of the characters in this book has some physical disabilities, and he's ruminating on the fact that, hey, everybody prays, and it seems like, yay, everybody's prayer gets answered. Like grandma has cancer, and they pray over her, and her cancer is gone, or somebody has a migraine headache, and they say a little prayer, and the headache is gone. And he's like, but I've got these physical disabilities that you can physically see, that, and it doesn't matter how hard I pray, my outward body, my physical disability is never going to disappear. It's like everybody's like insides get miraculously fixed, which is very convenient. But my outward crippled body will never be fixed, no matter how hard I pray. It goes back to that one, theory of why does prayer never regrow the arm of an amputee? It might fix grandma's, cataracts. It might fix grandma's cancer. It might fix her cholesterol problems, but it's never going to regrow. Prayer will never regrow. Orson Scott Card gets into all these philosophical discussions, which is interesting because Orson Scott Card, of course, is a Mormon. There's a lot of like little snippets of Mormon philosophy in these books. But as a Mormon, the fact that I grew up Mormon too, so I know, a lot of this stuff is, a lot of the things that he's discussing in here is what turns kind of Mormons into atheists a little bit. So it's interesting that he has the insight to include all of these things. And I know he's still Mormon, and an active Mormon, but I think that he would, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I'm just saying he understands both sides. He understands sort of the absurdities of a religion at the same time remaining religious. He gets it. I appreciate that, because a lot of people are just naive to it, but I think he gets it. That was more than I wanted to say on that subject. But let's get to the book. It's a very talky book. Like I said, this is not Star Wars. There's not, laser swords and blasters and gun smuggling pirates or anything like that. No, this is, the Lusitania is a planet, and this is where Valentine is going to. Valentine and her brother Ender is known as like this. Throughout the galaxy, he is known as this awful person that killed and he murdered an entire alien species. Now but he's actually a nice person, but yet Peter, her other brother, is kind of not a good person, but yet he's known as this very altruistic and nice person. And those are sort of the family dynamics that we're dealing with. And as she's traveling to this planet Lusitania, we learn that Lusitania is the place where Ender is at, and he has found a place where the humans, the Pequeninos, which were the alien race from the previous book, and the Hive Queen, which was the alien race from the Ender's Game, they can all coexist in peace on this planet, and everything's hunky-dory until we find out that there is a virus called the Descolada. And the virus, well, that will kill humans. However, the virus Descolada is also required for the Pequeninos to survive. So we've got a conundrum. What happens? Well, humans, of course, want to send a fleet of starships out to this planet to just blow it up. And so that's kind of like the plot. Will this fleet blow it up? Does the fleet disappear? What happens to the fleet? Well, there's another character called Gloriously Bright, and she's kind of this brilliant, she's the most brilliant of all the super intelligences that are in this universe. And she is kind of tasked with solving these problems. Is the fleet sent to destroy this planet? Has it disappeared or not? What's going to happen to the planet? Will they kill the planet? What's going to happen to Ender and his two brother and sister and Yada and the Pequeninos? What'll happen to them and the Hive Queen? And it's just a bad situation. The Death Star is going to destroy a planet, but can we stop it? That's kind of what it is. It's a good book. Not a lot of action, a lot of philosophical discussions, like I said. I mean, is it up to the par of the, did it grip me like Ender's Game and Speaker for the Dead? No. But I was entertained and interested in the philosophical discussions. It's kind of like the books by Isaac Asimov, Foundation. The Foundation trilogy wasn't really, I mean, it was more talky and more like, let's discuss theory. This is what this book is. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the theory that was being discussed. Xenocide, I'm going to give this an 8.5 out of 10. Very science fiction, well worth reading.